Hi, welcome to the Health Hacks Podcast. I'm Dr. Jenny. I'm going to be your host for this episode. And today we're talking about some functional approaches to high blood pressure. This is something that Tara and I get asked about very often when people consult with us and reach out for what we call a discovery call, where they're telling us what they're concerned about. And a lot of times they'll say, I'm concerned about my blood pressure. I was told it was too high, or I'm taking medicine and I want to look and see if there's anything I can do to wean off that, and by addressing the root causes and things like that, just to not need that medicine anymore by attacking it at at its foundational elements. And so we actually have had success with a number of people doing this just by looking at, we step back and we look at the total picture, and then we start addressing the things that apply to them. So let's talk a little bit about some of the root causes. I think before we get too far into it, I also think it's worth noting that prior to 1977, if you were to pick up some kind of medical textbook, you would see that they used to establish the guidelines of healthy blood pressure as 100 plus your age for a systolic blood pressure. So that means if you're 50 years old, your systolic, or the top number for your blood pressure, would be roughly 150. So what's changed since 1977? Well, one thing that I can think of that's changed is there's a lot of companies that make medications to lower blood pressure. And so they're the companies doing the research. And so I just think that, thinking critically about this kind of stuff is interesting. And again, this is just my perspective and my thought on it. I think you don't want your blood pressure to be too high because it does put stress on the cardiovascular system. But I think what they were getting at is that as you get older, it's a little bit natural that your blood pressure will increase a bit because your brain needs the blood flow. And if you keep your blood pressure the same, sometimes, things, our bodies just age. And so sometimes that's not a terrible thing. And I've seen a lot of people that are medicated. They come in and they tell me, I can't think straight. It's like, I just feel like I'm foggy headed and I am tired all the time and I'm not thinking right. And, their blood pressure is medicated down really low, and that's why they're just not getting the blood flow to their brain. So that's just some physiology for you and some food for thought on that. But maintaining a healthy blood pressure is really important. So what are the things that we can do to address that from a root cause perspective? The first thing we talk about is inflammation. Inflammation is our body's response to injury or stress. And short-term acute inflammation, we need it to heal. But when you get that chronic low-grade inflammation coming from poor diet, lack of exercise, chronic stress, you start to damage your blood vessels and you raise your blood sugar. So you want to do your best to address inflammation by consuming an anti-inflammatory diet, cutting out the junk food and the things like sugar and a lot of processed grains and that kind of stuff. That's probably the biggest piece of it right there. Then we can look at nutrient deficiencies. Things like magnesium, potassium, calcium are minerals. Those are tied to blood pressure. Magnesium is the big player here, and it's a muscle relaxer, and it also helps relax those blood vessels, which are smooth muscle. So that's an easy one for a lot of people that is a home run is magnesium. And you get magnesium in your diet through fruits and vegetables. And then you can also take a supplement too if you're not getting enough. Most of the people we test are low in it. It's a very common deficiency. And I think we're seeing it get more and more deficient. I think it's coming from the soil. I think our soil is depleted of not just magnesium, but all minerals. So, I wish I had a better answer that you could just eat more fruits and vegetables and you would make up your magnesium need. But a lot of people, they do need to supplement just because of the state of the farming and the nutrient status of our soil. So that's a biggie. Another nutrient is nitric oxide. So you might never have heard of that, and you're wondering, what in the world is that? It helps relax blood vessels, support smooth blood flow, and lower blood pressure. So as you get older, when you're under stress and you consume a poor diet, those things all reduce nitric oxide production. There's been a little bit of research, and a lot of this stuff is evolving, and there's nothing, we can't prove it with a scientific study or anything, but that 5G towers and all of these cell towers and this radiation from that kind of stuff, it can tap out your nitric oxide levels. And it appears to me that certain people are just more sensitive to that. So there's a supplemental form of nitric oxide. One we like is, it's a company called Apex Energetics. It's called Nitric Balance. It's a liquid. It works really, really good. So it helps with circulation and blood pressure and things like that. So we use it quite a bit. And we'll put a link in any of the supplements that we're talking about. We mentioned magnesium. We like orthomolecular reacted magnesium for that. And then the Apex Nitric Balance. Those things. We have a store on something called FullScript, and we only use and recommend supplements that are of the highest quality. They do what they say they're going to do. We know this because we do blood tests and follow up with people, and we actually change our recommendations on brands that if they don't work, we don't use them anymore. We look for something better. So I'll put the link to that in the description for the podcast too. But then moving on to our next root cause here, we're looking at blood sugar dysregulation, specifically when your blood sugar is swinging all over the place, or it goes really high, or it goes really low, or those kinds of things. That's the mechanism of that eventually leads to insulin resistance, which will contribute to inflammation and actually cause the blood vessels to get stiff and hard and less elastic. And so that'll raise the blood pressure. But when you stabilize your blood sugar using your diet and lifestyle, many times blood pressure will come down and stabilize as well. Blood sugar dysregulation is probably the thing that we notice in people as root causes of all kinds of things, just because it's just an epidemic in our time. I would say 7, 8 out of 10 people have problems with their blood sugar, and they probably don't even know it. Most people don't know it because it's like our medical system waits until someone's diabetic to have a conversation with them rather than analyzing them and giving them really good actionable information early on so that they can choose for themselves whether that's the road they want to go down or if they want to do better. So then we're piggybacking on blood sugar regulation. Let's move into stress. So we know that stress will elevate your blood pressure, but why? It's because the stress raises a hormone called cortisol, which is your stress hormone, and the mechanism of action that to raise blood pressure is that this stress hormone tells your body to kick into fight or flight mode, and that means, hey, we're going to have to run from danger, so we need higher blood pressure. We need all these things in place to make us be able to escape danger. So that's why your blood pressure shoots up with stress. Now, circling back to the blood sugar dysregulation, having your blood sugar swing all over the place is very stressful for your body. So a lot of times people will come to us and say, I don't know why I'm stressed out. Like, I don't know why all my stress indicators on my labs come back that I'm stressed out. I don't feel like I'm stressed out, but your body is telling us a different story. And a lot of times it circles back to this blood sugar, piece of it. So, we see that quite a bit. Another thing, is sleep, whether it's you're not getting enough or the quality isn't good enough. So, some people will sleep with their phone in their room and it's dinging and donging all night, and it's not super dark or it's not cold enough. You want to be like in the 60s for temperature when you're sleeping to get a really good restful night's sleep. You want to turn off all the distractions, have it super quiet. You want to calm down your mind before, so don't get in a Facebook argument about politics right before you try to go to bed or something like that. And make sure you're getting to bed before 10 o'clock. That 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock time frame is when your body has the most restorative and deep sleep. So if you're staying up, if you're a night owl and you're staying up, just know that it can really wreak havoc on your blood pressure. And then let's talk about another nutrient called nattokinase. So nattokinase is something that it helps to support cardiovascular health. It's an enzyme, and it comes from fermented soybeans, and it helps maintain healthy blood viscosity or flow, the consistency of your blood. And people that are prone to having clotting or thick blood that raises blood pressure and contributes to some of the cardiovascular risk factors. Nattokinase can be really good for that. We use the orthomolecular brand of that too, and we've seen some pretty good things with that. So that's another one that you might never have heard of. So the conclusion to all this is that if you do have high blood pressure, I want you to take away, this is the takeaway, that there is hope for changing what you're doing with your diet and lifestyle, maybe a few supplements as needed, to blend those things together and attack these things from the root. So, if you want to reach out and ask us a question about this, whether we can help you specifically or with blood pressure or something else, we do what's called a free discovery health call. And I'll put the link to that into the description of this too, along with the source for the supplements if you find that to be helpful. So we hope that you found value in this. Share it with a friend who needs to know, or just maybe take away that, hey, I can do some things that are natural and root cause focused to nip this in the bud and have a different outcome with my blood pressure. Okay, thanks for listening and have a blessed day.